Hey guys, I am here. It's been a very long time since I've done a vehicle walk around, so there's been a few changes since the last one. Figured might as well get to it. This is my 2016 Toyota Tacoma, and it is the off-road package. It is four-wheel drive capable, and it is also a manual transmission. So there's been a few changes over the years. I still definitely adhere to the whole idea that if you just get your vehicle and you're just starting out, you have no idea what you want to do, where you want to go, how often you're going to be doing it, tires and sliders and go. I think that is the one piece of advice that someone gave me early on that really was beneficial to my learning curve as I've been going along. So just wanted to share that with you guys. There's a lot of beautiful vehicles out there that have been built for different purposes, but I think it's really important that you figure out what your purpose is, how you want to do that, and what your budget is. Not all of those are going to be the same. So this is 3+ years in the making. Let's get started. We'll start right here in the front. Isn't a recent change, but I will just talk about it. This is not the off-road grill for the 2016 year. This is the Pro grill. So that was changed out just because I liked the black versus all the chrome. New lights on the front. This is KC's Flex series, and these are their LED lights. These I think are beautiful lights. They do come with different cover options, so you don't have to have ambers up front. You could have them all clear. These are obviously to protect from rocks and whatever stuff happens on the trail. But though this is the most insane addition, biggest surprise, I did have a light bar running there previously, and it gave off light, but I wasn't super thrilled with it. It just kind of was like, okay. So much so that I had converted my fogs into, I had some cubes in there to give off some just additional light. So those were not DOT approved. I could not run them on that highway, and they definitely weren't fogs. So with this update, with adding the KCs on, this gives so much light. It's crazy. I thought honestly the big one was on when I first flipped those on, but it's also allowed me to go back to a fog light. And this is KC offers an amber, and it's a true amber, so obviously it's clear while off. I flip them on and we've got amber light, and those have got a very, very wide beam. I love the way they are just on the highway driving. Night driving on the mountains just gets a little weird when it's really, really dark. I really love having the additional light, and it looks pretty cool too. Wrapping around, again, back to tires, sliders, and go. Just kind of a silly thing, but I really think that is that's the ticket to just getting started. You can get really far with these vehicles stock. But about 6 months ago, I did finally bump up to a 33-inch tire. And I've run this tire for several years now. This is the Falken Wildpeak mud tire. And it is a 285/70, and we are on a 17-inch wheel. And this is an IconAlloy wheel. And just to add a little bit of personality, I added that red rim, and that is not something that comes from Icon. I actually took the wheels to a wrap company right before install and got just that little lip put on. So it's not necessarily permanent. We'll see how long it lasts, but I like that it adds a little bit of personality to the wheels. Behind the wheels, I have Icon suspension, and I absolutely love it. I'm about 2 years in with this setup, and it's really done everything I've wanted it to do. It's great on highway, it's great off-road, and I like that it's a little understated. I love the look of a big lifted truck. I think there definitely is something very eye-catching about that, but I do like that mine's a little understated. It's not quite so obvious that there's so much going on underneath. Well, I guess there's a lot going on. But so underneath there is the stage, it's a stage 6. Basically the whole vehicle is considered a stage 9 if you were to get everything that's on there. But up front, just a stage 6. So that is the remote reservoir with the CDC valving. And if you saw under there, I do have the new finned reservoirs, which is something somewhat new for Icon. They are offering that through their rebuild services. So you go to a certified rebuild, they do it, and it's an upgrade. You can pay to have that put on there. So the finned reservoir basically is allowing for additional cooling for that reservoir. If you're using the vehicle heavy use or in hot conditions, there is a lot of heat generated just from the activity that's happening from your suspension. So any way to keep that stuff cool is definitely important. Just to save time, we'll just jump to the back. So 6 up front, technically the whole thing's a 9. The rear does have, it's an RXT setup. So this is a beefed up version of what the stage 6 offered. Again, there is the finned reservoir and the hydraulic bump stops. Still CDC valved, so we have that additional control there. What's great about the RXT setup, it's also designed to work with their leaf pack, which allows you 3 different weighted ratings, basically. So you have like your standard, your stock weight, 300 pound, and then a 600 pound. So I love that versatility, because especially when you're building and loading these things, adding fridges and just ridiculous amounts of weight to this vehicle, you definitely want to feel like you have support, especially with all this additional square footage on the back. I'm really, really happy with that. I am running it at the highest, or the heaviest, so the setting 3, which would put me at 600 pounds. And what I love about it is even when it gives me the support when I'm fully loaded, so that's fridge, gear, everything. And then when I remove those things, which isn't a significant amount of weight, I'm not stink bugging. So while I have the support, it's not so much that the vehicle is just very obviously empty. So been thrilled with that. We'll go up to the top. Like I mentioned before, there's been some changes with the KC lighting coming on board. This is the surface of the sun, guys. I cannot believe how much light gets thrown off of this thing. This is their Pro 6 series, and it's just beautiful. I was very, very concerned about putting light, 1, on top of my vehicle, and 2, just adding additional resistance and changing the profile of the Tacoma. I was very protective. I liked the design. I liked the flow and everything of the vehicle. I was also concerned about 1, reflective light coming off of my hood, which is an issue because the hoods of the Tacomas are massive, and sound and noise while driving. I'm happy to report that I do not experience anything nothing like I was concerned was going to happen. You do see light. I will acknowledge that you see light here when you flip on the Pro 6, but it's not a glare. It's just, you can just tell the light's on. I do not get any reverse glare off the hood. And then noise-wise, I don't hear anything. At 75 miles an hour, you do start to hear some wind noise, and it's not a whistle. It's basically like a headwind noise. So I was blown away. I literally got on the phone with Casey right afterwards, and you've got to be kidding me. There's no noise from that thing. How is that even possible? So I'm really, really thrilled with that. Yeah, the light's just ridiculous. But the Pro 6 is attached to this brand new M rack. It's brand new for the Tacomas, and it offers obviously additional storage. I currently run my Max Tracks up there. It also gives a great spot for additional lighting, and these are the C2 series, I believe from KC. These are their flood, or in here they're going to be the floodlight. I thought I was good as far as light off the side of the vehicle. Ran a couple of trails at night, and that's a game changer. Being able to see completely around your vehicle, while it is very possible to do in the dark, maybe moderately well, I love it. It's fantastic to have that much light available. So stoked on the way that looks and the way it functions. I'll drop down. something that's actually been on the truck for a very long time are these sliders. Again, keeping in line with the just tires and sliders. This was one of the first things I had put on. They are from DemelloOffroad, local shop, awesome guy. I really appreciate Jason's guidance in the beginning. He's one of those individuals that spent a lot of time with me, and I just really appreciate that. So running his sliders, been really happy with them. They're bolt-on, and they can save you a lot of heartache while you're learning, because it's just easy to make silly mistakes when you're out there. And with the Tacoma, the way the wheelbase is, the first spot you're gonna mess up is gonna be that underside there, so it gives you that extra protection. Let's move on to the back. Let's talk about what's underneath. So in talking about armor, I did upgrade my skid plates to the Relentless Fabrication skids, and I do have the IFS skid and then the mid skid, so I go back a little ways. It's not a full coverage, but I'm not a super aggressive off-roader, so I just need that protection for when I make a mistake and fall off the line or think I've got it and I don't, which ironically I went out a couple weeks right after the install and playing in the mud, couldn't see a rock and just popped something really good. So I did end up going with steel with those. The weight savings wasn't enough for me to give up the additional strength, and I am so glad I did, because it was a big rock and it wasn't gonna move. So put a good little dent in there. Very happy about that. Let's move to the back. And I'll just, for ease, we'll just start top to bottom. Obviously got my rooftop tent, and that's from HiTents. And I've been with this company for a very long time, had a variety of different versions of this tent, and this is by far the one I'm still drawn to. I do appreciate the pop-up ones, the ease of the pop-up ones. For my setup though, I'm just not quite, wouldn't be an easy switch for me. I would have to do some other changes. So because I want to stay with the more traditional rooftop tent, plus I love the aesthetic of the traditional, there's no other tent out there that I want. The canvas is the thickest out there. Graham is very particular about always improving and designing it to be very functional. He takes a lot of great feedback from his customers, and I really appreciate that. So I've been thrilled with that over the years. Obviously a fire extinguisher and a shovel that needs to be bolted. Shouldn't do that. This is all mounted to a bed cage, and this is a bed cage by BruteForceFab. And what I love about this, the reason I purchased it, was I like that it went into the bed of the truck, gave me additional stability, additional strength. I didn't have to worry about the bed slides being just having too much pressure or too much weight on them as it's off-roaded. I'm not sure that's a word, but we're making it up. So yeah, I've been really happy with that. It is a slightly lower profile, which I have talked to a few individuals who did a standard height, and they said that the wind resistance was significant. And I didn't notice quite the change. I mean, I do notice the weight from a stock vehicle, obviously, but I do like that it's a little bit dropped. Still have access to my bed, but it's a little bit lower, so the wind resistance isn't as bad. Also from Relentless, so my skid plates were up front, were Relentless, and this rear high clearance bumper is also from Relentless Fabrication. This, I love the way it looks. I didn't know I would like that. I knew I needed it functionally. I did not realize that I would enjoy the look of the truck this much. But what it does entail is you are cutting basically your bedside, and your rear bumper gets obviously replaced. This is steel and offers a ton more protection. So if you have driven a vehicle off-road or a truck off-road, you realize that the departure angle is usually where you get hung up the most. You're either grabbing that tow hitch or just the back of your bumper. A lot of people, usually one of the first things that happens with the Tacomas is there's bumper damage because you took something a little too aggressively and you paid for it. So that was definitely something. I was constantly dragging my the rear of the truck. So getting this was something, it took a little while for me to get because it was a big change and I wanted to make sure I was really ready, but I'm really, really happy with this. So it does have the swing arm, which gives me a place for my spare because it's difficult to fit underneath. And then, oh, I guess I'm locked out. Yeah. What else do I have here? Oh, there's more KC back here. There's KC everywhere. So like that front grill spot, lower grill spot, there was those flexes. These are the single flexes from KC, and these run as my chasing lights. And seriously, I do a lot of desert stuff where we're out in the dust, and if you get more than 2-3 vehicles out on a trail and you get some speed going, you can lose visibility really, really quick. And if you're trying to stay somewhat close to each other, I mean, just this last couple of months, I've been out on some trails that kicked up so much dust, it didn't matter how much distance we spaced. There was just no wind. We weren't going to be able to see very well. So just to kind of save yourself from coming up on your buddy a little too quickly, or just knowing where we're going, just having that visual of where the group is going, really, really helpful with that. I'm happy to report too, usually out on the trail, I am one of the few vehicles that everyone can see, which is also very important because I am the color of sand, so I totally disappear. Let's see, grab. Oh, and just to note, because this might get brought up, I did have to relocate my camera, my backup camera. I do not have any sensors. I do not have the additional tech package on this Tacoma. So that's really the only thing that I had to have relocated. And Eric over at Relentless Fabrication was able to create something pretty quickly, and we were able to move it over there. So I'm happy with that. It's dirty back here. So let's talk about the last piece from Relentless. This was something I didn't even know I wanted until I was sitting in the shop and we were chatting about it. They offer an aluminum tailgate reinforcement. And the purpose of what they created this for is, obviously we know this is a piece of plastic on the stock beds, and they were running into people who were putting in large, heavy equipment, motorcycles, and you're running those up the ramp, and of course you're putting a lot of weight right here and then rolling it into the bed. Well, that really was not intended for that, and you could, if you have ever taken one of these apart, you realize that the support system for the metal on the other side is very minimal. So I thought, well, that would be something great, because when I load my fridge, I'm doing that by myself and obviously putting a ton of weight right here. So I want to reinforce that. And we all deal with this, but that ribbing that's on the inside, that plastic, was on here, and there's no way you can kneel, you can hardly sit for long periods of time. It is brutal on your body. So smoothing this thing out, one, makes it a great cook surface for myself in particular, and saves my body when I'm having to climb around this vehicle, and adds additional protection. So I've obviously used it a bit, but that's what it's for. So I'm really happy to have that. And on the inside, I've obviously got fuel back there. I do not run my my roto packs on the sides of my bed cage anymore. And the reason for that is I had a failure with one of the brackets. And I know they've been redone and revised a couple times, but I just don't care to have that much weight bouncing around on the outside at that angle without additional support. So I've chosen to bring them inside, which is fine for me. I have the space to give, and so that's where I've got them. This slide is for the Dometic fridge, and I've got the CFX 75. It is a beast of a refrigerator, and I should probably do a separate video for that guy, but it does go in here, plugs right into the bed. I had it wired from my deep cycle battery. I did not do a dual battery setup. Maybe in the future, maybe something with solar, but right now it actually works just fine. I don't stay in one spot long enough to really warrant having additional or needing additional power. So, you know, I pull into camp, I run the fridge, it runs all night. We're usually gone by 10 in the morning, and the vehicle's on the rest of the time. So it works for me. What else? Oh, I also, big red thing on the back. This is my Outer Limit Supply First Aid Kit, which came in handy a lot on this last trip. And I do also have a Blue Ridge Overland Trash Bag. Well, I guess they're not trash, they're bags. So they're multi-purpose. You could basically put anything you need into them. I use mine as a trash primarily, or sometimes storage if I need to have something on the outside. But I love having, especially with as much as I cook, but having trash in a designated spot that I can seal down, I can strap it down. I don't have to worry about a bag opening or blowing or anything. There's just a spot for it always. I really like that. And what's great about the way Blue Ridge has done their strapping system is it's not sagging like another brand that I had previously did. So I like that. What else? I will let you in. So all of my lights are wired directly, obviously, to my battery, but I did go with a little Switch.pros here. And I like this. I like that it's just mounted so cleanly. There's a spot in most third gens. And then I'll show you what's going on in here, other than being filthy. So like I said before, I did upgrade to a deep cycle, so I do have additional power. It's not the standard battery. It's going to give you a little bit better life, especially when you're running a fridge off there and lights. But again, I haven't run into any problems. Oh, another fantastic thing about that fridge is it monitors my battery, so it'll actually turn itself off before it kills the battery, which offers just additional peace of mind. The Switch.pros connection is right here, so if you haven't seen where one of those is mounted, and gosh, when done right, those things, I think it just clean everything up. You don't have to worry about the spaghetti or rat's nest of wires in your engine bay. And then something I often forget about, but use often, my air compressor, which is the ARB Twin. I do have the additional tank in there, and this is, it's a lifesaver. No, it's just, I had a portable one for a long time, which worked great, and I recommend having a portable one, especially if you're just starting out and not sure what you're gonna do. But when you get to jump up to something like this, it saves so much more time, and I usually end up airing up other people while getting off trail. So there she is. Can't think if I missed anything. But always a work in progress. I think as I go and I find different needs or things just aren't working out for me, then I end up brainstorming and trying to come up with a solution for those. And I think that's just kind of how it always works. But right now, honestly, I'm really happy with how it is, and I kind of just want to use it. I don't want to go out and buy any more stuff. So we'll see.